Imagine a world where a single political decision can spark nationwide protests, ignite heated debates, and even reshape entire countries. Now you might be thinking, that sounds awful. And you'd be right, it does sound awful. Sadly, it's also incredibly accurate, especially when you look back at the last 10 years. We've witnessed decisions that have not only stirred controversy, but have also left lasting impacts on global politics. Today, we're diving into the 7 most controversial political decisions of the last 10 years. Buckle up, because some of these are going to be bumpy rides. Prepare to explore the decisions that have divided nations, fueled fierce debates, and altered the course of history. From contentious policies to unexpected reversals, these decisions have challenged our perceptions of leadership and governance. Let's unravel the stories behind these pivotal moments and understand why they became the center of global controversy. First up is Brexit. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, Brexit again. Haven't we suffered enough? And to that, I say, yes, you have. But unfortunately, this is a wound we must reopen. In 2016, the UK made the monumental decision to leave the EU. This was after a bizarre campaign with false claims on a bus. The Leave campaign promised a lot of sovereignty, control over immigration, and taking back control. The reality, however, has been about as smooth as a hedgehog in a tumble dryer. The decision sparked intense debate and division within the UK and across Europe. It also led to British politicians arguing amongst themselves for years on end. The economic, political, and social landscapes of the UK were irrevocably altered. Next, we turn to the United States and one of the most controversial decisions made by former President Donald Trump, the 2017 immigration ban targeting several predominantly Muslim countries. The ban, intended to enhance national security, was met with widespread criticism and legal challenges. Protests erupted across the country, condemning the ban as discriminatory and un-American. Judges blocked the ban, saying, "Yeah, that's not how any of this works." The ban was revised and upheld by the Supreme Court, leaving a legacy of division and fear. In 2020, Beijing's implementation of the national security law in Hong Kong became a flashpoint for international controversy. This, of course, came as a surprise to absolutely no one who had been paying attention to China's increasingly assertive stance on, well, pretty much everything. The law, which was ostensibly aimed at curbing dissent and enhancing national security, was widely seen as a blatant attempt to crush any remaining semblance of autonomy and freedom in Hong Kong. It was, to put it mildly, not well received. Protests, which had become a regular occurrence in Hong Kong, escalated dramatically, with citizens from all walks of life taking to the streets to voice their opposition. The international community also expressed its concern, with many countries condemning the law as a violation of the one country, two systems framework that had been promised to Hong Kong when it was returned to China in 1997. China, however, remained unmoved by the criticism, arguing that the law was necessary to maintain stability and prevent Hong Kong from becoming a hotbed of secessionist activity. The implementation of the national security law marked a turning point in Hong Kong's history, effectively ending the one country, two systems experiment and ushering in a new era of tighter control from Beijing. It served as a stark reminder that authoritarian regimes are rarely swayed by international pressure and that promises, like cheap umbrellas, are easily broken. Chapter 4. The Amazon on Fire, Brazil's Burning Controversy. Brazil's environmental policies under President Jair Bolsonaro have also drawn significant controversy, and by controversy, we mean international condemnation and a collective gasp of horror from anyone who understands the importance of the Amazon rainforest. Bolsonaro's approach to managing the Amazon can best be described as aggressively indifferent, like a teenager left in charge of a houseplant for the weekend. His policies, which have included reduced protections for the rainforest and a laissez-faire attitude toward deforestation, have been about as popular as a swarm of wasps at a picnic. Environmentalists have warned that Bolsonaro's policies are pushing the Amazon closer to a tipping point, beyond which it may not be able to recover. World leaders have also expressed their concern, with some even going so far as to suggest that Brazil is no longer a reliable partner in the fight against climate change. Bolsonaro, however, has remained defiant, dismissing the criticism as foreign interference and arguing that Brazil has the right to develop its own resources. The future of the Amazon, and indeed the planet, hangs in the balance, and Bolsonaro's policies are a stark reminder that sometimes the greatest threat to our environment comes not from natural disasters, but from the people we elect to lead us. Chapter 5: Trade Wars, not as fun as they sound. Moving to the economic arena, the US-China trade war initiated in 2018 is another pivotal decision with widespread repercussions. This trade war, which began with the subtlety of a drunken brawl at a karaoke bar, saw the world's two largest economies slapping tariffs on each other's goods with the enthusiasm of toddlers playing patty cake. The Trump administration, convinced that China was engaging in unfair trade practices, decided that the best course of action was to engage in some unfair trade practices of its own. China, not to be outdone, responded in kind, and soon the world was caught in the crossfire of a full-blown trade war. The imposition of tariffs and trade barriers by both nations created economic uncertainties and affected global supply chains. Businesses caught in the middle of this economic tug-of-war were left scrambling to adjust to the new reality, while consumers faced higher prices and a shrinking selection of goods. The trade war, which dragged on for years, highlighted the interconnectedness of the global economy and the dangers of protectionist policies. It served as a stark reminder that in the 21st century, economic warfare rarely has any winners, only losers. Chapter 6: Crimea, a not-so-friendly takeover. In 2014, Russia's annexation of Crimea from Ukraine was a dramatic and controversial move that drew condemnation from much of the international community. This annexation, which was about as subtle as a bear riding a unicycle through a china shop, sent shockwaves through the international community and upended the post-Cold War order in Europe. Russia, citing the need to protect the rights of ethnic Russians living in Crimea, sent troops into the peninsula and orchestrated a hastily organized referendum that was about as legitimate as a $3 bill. The international community, with the exception of a few countries that shall remain nameless, but whose names rhyme with Belarus and Syria, condemned the annexation as a violation of international law and imposed sanctions on Russia. The annexation of Crimea marked a turning point in relations between Russia and the West, ushering in a new era of mistrust and hostility. It also highlighted the challenges of maintaining international order in a world where powerful countries feel emboldened to act unilaterally and redraw borders by force. Chapter 7: The Philippine Drug War, a Deadly Crackdown. Finally, we examine the Philippine government's controversial war on drugs, led by President Rodrigo Duterte, a man whose leadership style can best be described as unorthodox. This policy, which was launched with the subtlety of a battering ram through a stained glass window, has been characterized by its aggressive stance, its disregard for due process, and its staggering body count. Duterte, who campaigned on a promise to rid the Philippines of drugs, unleashed a wave of violence that has left thousands dead, many of them killed in extrajudicial killings by police or vigilante groups. The international community, aghast at the brutality of the crackdown, has condemned the drug war as a violation of human rights and a failure of justice. Human rights groups have documented widespread abuses, including extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, and arbitrary arrests. The Philippine government, however, has defended its actions, arguing that the drug war is necessary to combat a national crisis and that those killed were criminals who deserved their fate. The Philippine drug war has had a devastating impact on Filipino society, instilling fear, undermining the rule of law, and creating a climate of impunity. It serves as a stark reminder that the fight against drugs, while important, cannot come at the expense of human rights and the principles of justice. As we've explored, these decisions have not only shaped national politics, but have also had profound global impacts. They remind us of the power and responsibility held by leaders and the far-reaching effects of their choices. From Brexit to the Philippine drug war, these decisions have left an indelible mark on the world, shaping the geopolitical landscape and raising critical questions about leadership, governance, and the very nature of democracy. Join the conversation, subscribe, and stay informed. These are just a few of the many controversial political decisions that have shaped the last decade. It is up to us, as citizens of the world, to stay informed, engage in critical thinking, and hold our leaders accountable for their actions. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the most controversial political decisions of the last decade. If you found this video insightful, Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.